Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we do our reading today, we can see that Psalm 74 and Psalm 75 go hand in hand, and both of them were written by the same person, by Asaph. And Psalm 74 raises the question of timing. When will God render justice to the people who are oppressed and for the people who are suffering under the hand of wicked people? It starts off in verse 1 and says, "O God, why have you rejected us forever?" And the feeling that God had abandoned his people, that time has passed by and God has not come to deliver his people, made the psalmist Asaph to feel as though God might have rejected them forever. And then in verse 10 it says, "How long, O God, will the adversary revile and the enemy spurn your name forever?" And this kind of relates to much of the experience that we have in our relationship with God. That is, there are times when we ask these same questions. We ask, "Lord, have you rejected us forever? And how long should we deal with the things that we're dealing with?" Whether it's someone who's coming at us and someone who's reviling us and speaking against us, or it's some other type of situation that we're dealing with where we feel burdened and we feel as though the weight of the world is upon our shoulders, and we wonder, how long are we going to have to bear this burden? And Psalm 74 is basically about that. It's a psalm about God's people being oppressed, being taken under, and scholars believe that this might be under the time of Sennacherib, under the king of Assyria, oppressing the people. But this was something that was taking place for a very long time, and the people are wondering why and how long is this going to happen. And it even brings to remembrance the wonderful deliverances that God had done in the past, and wondering, well, why isn't God doing it now? Why isn't God delivering his people as he had done in the past? And we ask that question oftentimes as well as we read scripture, and we read of the many times that God has delivered his people, and yet we look at our current situation, we think, why isn't it the case that God hasn't delivered us in our situation? Well, Psalm 75 somewhat gives us the answer to that question. And it says in verse 2 of Psalm 75, "When I select an appointed time, it is I who judge with equity." And we want to key in on this idea of the appointed time. God has an appointed time for everything. It may not be the time that we would like. It may not be according to our schedule, but it's God's appointed time. It's the time that God has appointed. Yes, God is going to work out what is good. God is going to cause all things to work together for good for those who love him, as we talked about in Romans chapter 8. But it's going to be in his own time. And that's a hard thing for us to take in, because our time is now. We want deliverance now. We want God to come in and work a miracle now. We want God to do everything at this very moment. And it takes trust to realize that God does things in his own time, which may not be right now. It may not be today. It might be tomorrow, or a week from now, or a month from now. But God has an appointed time. And at his appointed time, he's going to make everything right. He's going to bring everything together and make everything work together for our good. And we don't know exactly when that's going to be. Will it happen in our lifetime? Or is it something that we'll have to see in future generations, where good comes out of the situations that we're dealing with today? We just don't know, but we do know that God has an appointed time. And God does things in his own time. And as soon as we can get that into our minds and into our hearts, to really lay it all down before the Lord, knowing that He doesn't really work according to our time schedule, but according to his own, which is actually a good thing, because sometimes it's not best for everything to happen right away. Sometimes it's good for things to happen in their own time. And God knows what those times are. He's the one who has established the days and the nights, summer and winter and fall and spring. He has established everything with order and everything to happen in its own time. And that's true even with the events that occur in our lives. It's something that we should take to heart. So if you're dealing with something today, something hard, something that you wish the Lord would take away today, just keep praying, keep trusting, keep placing your faith in the Lord, and keep remembering that God has an appointed time. And we don't always know what that appointed time is, but we do know that it is a certain time that God has established. And if we just trust Him, if we keep living before Him and placing our faith in Him, eventually everything's going to work out. Everything's going to work according to God's schedule and according to His plan. And it's just for us to be faithful, to place our trust in Him, and to wait on the Lord. And when we do that, as Isaiah chapter 40 says, we will find new strength. We will be able to go a little bit further with the Lord, having found renewed zeal, renewed life in Him. And we will be like eagles, mounted up on wings like eagles, realizing that we can just lay it all down before Him and trust Him. So with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.